Hi, today we are going to do a tutorial on how to make basically a kolache loaf. And if you don't know what a kolache loaf is, or a kolache is, you are not alone. When we moved here to Texas, I had no idea what all these little shops called Kolache Factory, what it actually was. What it is basically a dinner roll or a breakfast roll, and what it has inside is sausage, egg, and cheese, and it varies across the board as to beef, pork, chicken, spicy, mild, any and all of the above. And it has inspired a breakfast loaf that is basically a huge kolache. And what it will have in it is cooked sausage, just a 1 pound sausage roll, and a dozen eggs, and then a small 6 to 8 ounce portion of cheese. And I use sharp cheddar. I love the taste of sharp cheddar. I do have a daughter who does not tolerate dairy very well, so on a portion of it I'll just have either no or less cheese. If you have dairy allergies, cheese especially, just don't use it. It won't make the loaf as concise or as glued together, really, literally, but it will still work and it'll still taste wonderful. So what we have is a natural yeast bread that has risen, and I picked this one. I actually already made a loaf this morning, and I picked this bowl because it looks like I used a little extra flour, so there's a little extra bread dough to work with. I did make this the other day. Basically I made it up because I've got two really hungry boys. One of them came home the first week of school, and I didn't know if he was being bullied or had a teacher that was making problems for him, or he was just mean and grouchy when he came home. And I asked him what was going on, and he sat and thought about it for a minute and told me, "Mom, I'm just hungry." And he asked me to make breakfast every day this year so that they weren't having days where they were eating cereal. And so I've started inventing different ways to have breakfast, and this is one of my new favorite ways. So what we're going to do is have a bar pan that has at least a 1-inch edge on it. It's basically a cookie sheet, but if you have any Pampered Chef, this is called a bar pan. You need a piece of parchment paper, and I know my last videos have been really loud when I've been moving things, so I've got a towel underneath just to help eliminate a lot of noise. What you're going to do with the parchment paper is get it wet. And you want to get it wet with drinking water because you are making food, so it's not using nasty city water. You can have some filtered drinking water and get your hand wet. So your hand needs to be wet, parchment paper needs to be wet. This is how we work a natural yeast dough to keep the gluten-free aspect of it. Anytime you introduce flour into a natural yeast, you have to start, the process starts over, or you just negate the process altogether. So we get as much dough as we can out of the bowl. Get your hand wet again, and then start pressing the dough across your bar pan, across your cookie sheet, into the shape of your pan. And as you work it, it does get a little bit soggy on the edges. It's not an issue, you just need to expect it. But this is a great way to feed a lot of people in one fell swoop. Instead of making a bunch of teeny tiny rolls, we're just making one huge loaf. Now, something I discovered when I did make this earlier this week is when it was completely cooled and there was a few leftovers. I was able to slice it just like a piece of bread. And it tastes like a breakfast casserole. It's delicious. It's really good. So when you have it sliced and you're putting it in the fridge, how you would reheat it is just like you would make a piece of bread just in your toaster. Just slip it in. Hopefully the cheese doesn't get everywhere, but it's really a quick and easy way to reheat it and have the bread nice and crisp. Okay, so we have our dough. We have our dough pressed out on the parchment paper in the shape of the pan. And the next thing we're going to do is start layering all of our ingredients. And the first one we're going to do is cheese. And cheese is going to be in between all the layers, like I said earlier, kind of as an adhesive. And I'm going to leave one little portion for my daughter without cheese. And some of the cheese will run in it, but it won't be a huge amount of layering. And the next thing we're going to do is do our roll of sausage that's been cooked. And I have really crispy parts. That's just because that's how I like it. And since I'm the one cooking, I'm going to make things the way I like it. I honestly don't know if my family likes it that way, but oh well. We will find out. And I also like having it in bigger pieces. So there's lots of little crispy pieces of the sausage, and there's lots of big cooked chunks of the sausage. That's why I like having a sausage roll instead of links, is because I get that variant size. So when I cooked the sausage, I cooked it in this pan, and then I just cooked the eggs in the sausage grease. It definitely gives it, oh, see, this is what happens when I start talking. Forgot to put in my second layer of cheese. So when you're doing the cheese, just kind of eyeball what you're doing and leave enough for the other layers. Okay, back to the eggs. My husband didn't believe me when I told him that we go through at least a dozen eggs a day the last, I don't know, probably 6 months. But he's the one that takes the composting outside. And I just have all my eggshells ready in the egg carton for him to take out to the composter. So it's true. At least a dozen eggs a day, sometimes more. Okay. So our last layer of cheese will go on top, and as you can see, this is quite full. What's nice about this loaf is you're just kind of piecing it together as it is. There's no the last one I did, it was a bit, it made me nervous, I'll be honest. It made me nervous because I wasn't quite getting my normal top layer. So as I start putting on this top layer of dough, what I do is I get my hand wet again, and I take it from the edges and I gently pull it across to the top. But what ends up happening, the benefit of having all of these ingredients cooked is that they're hot. So it helps the loaf bake because these ingredients from the inside out, it's already hot. It doesn't have to come to temperature. So we cook it, I'm gonna have you cook it at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see on the video, but the bread dough right here, it's pulled, it's made a hole. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a little lump of bread dough that isn't gonna cause another hole, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull and basically patch. And that's fine. This huge mammoth loaf, it's going to be amazing. I don't know if anyone's ever had a breakfast casserole, like a breakfast potluck or baby shower or wedding shower, but those can take hours to make because you have to soak it overnight, and then you still have to cook everything anyways, and layer everything and cut the crust off of bread. None of that with this. This is just, the ingredients are ready. You have your dough made the day before, and instead of doing the cinnamon bread with sugar, this is, I mean, you could make this with no cheese, so this would end up being a dairy-free, gluten-free breakfast loaf. And I'm gonna have to call it a Kolache Loaf because this is basically the kolaches that I had no idea what they were when I moved to Texas. They're just in a huge amount. So we're gonna bake this, and I'll see if I have enough knowledge to slice all the videos together, if I'm able to make another video and show you afterwards. But if I can't, I'll have pictures on my blog. And thank you so much for watching. Okay, so this is out of the oven. It's still hot. I've waited about 10 minutes with everyone in my family bugging me, wanting to know when it was going to be sliced and ready to eat. I sent everyone away so that I could finish this video and show you what this looks like when it's done. So this is huge. It's great for a big family to make ahead and slice up and put in the fridge and have later. I'm gonna go ahead and slice a portion of this so you can see inside, and so that my husband stops hovering. So the bottom of it, you can see some of the venting that's happened just naturally with pulling it, and there's just a few little air pockets for it to vent through. The venting allows for the oils from the sausage and the cheese to get out, and underneath, I don't know if you could tell when I was slicing it, but it's a little bit hard to slice. And then when it comes out, you can see the layering in the loaf, and it's ready to eat. It's way hot, but I don't think my husband will care this morning. I think he's ready to start eating breakfast. I hope you like this video. I hope you try it and enjoy it as much as we do. Thanks for watching.